My dad came from Cochran, Georgia, which is a very small town about 40 miles south of Macon. He worked in a family business, Dad's hardware store, and I think that's probably where he really developed a strong work ethic from his dad.
Dad was driven by high ethics. He loved trying to compete on the ethics side in terms of, this is who I am, and you have to do for the customer that's the right thing, even if it's going to wind up might be detrimental to you and your bank account. You've got to do what's right by them.
Not one piece of business is worth your integrity. And I can remember Dad telling me one time, one piece of business is not going to make or break this business. Just be honest and truthful to everybody and treat people the way you want to be treated.
Remember my dad talking about being on his hands and knees working on dishwashers and thinking, man, I can't continue this the rest of my life. This is wearing me out. He happened to notice a guy that would pull up in a nice shiny car and was always dressed to the T. He found out he was an insurance salesman. Well, Dad, not knowing what that meant, he just said, well, that's what I want to be.
And he started writing to all the insurance companies in the trade magazine, how do I get in the insurance business? Can I sell your products? And hardly any of them answered. But he was very persistent on it and kept writing letters. And there was one guy that stopped by the hardware store. He came in and he said, I want to see Harry Daniel. And my dad said, well, I assume you want to see my dad, whose name was also Harry Daniel. Going back there, and it was like, no, I want to see the Harry Daniel that wrote this letter. And he said, well, that was my son. You talked to him out on the sidewalk earlier. And the rep was from a company called Cotton States Insurance. And so he talked to my dad about it, and he said, look, you've shown a lot of perseverance. You've written a lot of letters to us trying to get a contract to write. And he kind of gave him a list of what he needed to do to get that contract. And one of them was get licensed in the state of Georgia to sell insurance products. And then he also wanted him to do a few other things, which my dad followed through with every bit of that. And long story short, he got the contract with Cotton States to sell insurance in Cochran, Georgia. His desk was homemade. It was 2 kegs of nails with an old door across the top of it. And he sold his first insurance policy in the back of his dad's hardware store. My dad started the agency here in Cartersville in 1977. When Dad had that vision to do what he did, it was a huge step of faith.
He also loved the customer service experience, being able to provide something with someone in a time of need. The insurance business gave him that opportunity. The Mother's Day hailstorm, lots of tornadoes, hailstorms, lots of damage around the community. Dad said, this is our time to shine. We had 3 and 4 of our main carriers send adjusters that set up shop right here in our office. Dad went out and bought Cokes and donuts and cookies and kind of made it almost a festive affair. And people were pulling up literally with their cars and getting checks handed to them while they were getting a Coke and some donuts and walking out, smiling. Dad turned that event that lasted here for about 2 weeks into something that was very memorable. Family was huge for Dad. In fact, that's what drove him to get back in the insurance business.
I would say Dad must really like to work. He would work on Saturdays. He would come down before church and work on Sunday mornings, go to church, and then come back and work on Sundays. I didn't understand that growing up. Later on, I realized he did it for us. He loved his family. And, I think that's passed on the way I love my family.
Would Dad be proud of where Harry Daniel Insurance is now? I would say,
shoot. My dad had a saying. He was constantly telling us how proud he was of us. And his saying was,
he would feel 10 feet tall.
You make me feel 10 feet tall.
I'm so proud of him. And I think he feels the same way.
Today, I can't tell you, I might be 100 feet tall. I just know he'd be proud.